Hey. It's your boy, Phys Ed Music, and this is another rousing episode of Urban Politics. That right there is Kool Keith. That's off the Matthew album. That's a great album right there. A nice bit of hip-hop, if you will. But, as always, that's not what you're here for. Yeah, that right there, that's a fresh cut right there. Baddest MC. I think he's talking about me. You know what I'm saying? But that's enough of that. We're not here for that. Nah, we're here for something else. We're here for politics. As always, like I tell people all the time, I want to go ahead and open the show saying, if you like the show, please like and subscribe. Please tell a friend so they can subscribe too, and we can get this thing going. Keep the dialogue going. Always, you're in the pushback zone. So if I say anything you don't agree with, or you want to push back at something that I've said, please hit me up on phizedmusic@gmail.com. That's PHIZZEDMUSIC at gmail.com. You know what I'm saying? So without further ado, let me run into this ish. Let's get right into it like a car in drive. What are we going to talk about? Let's start with Trump and the election. Got to mold those two things together because, crazy enough, the election's over, but we're still going through it, aren't we? We got a guy who refuses to concede. He just won't hear of it. This guy's like the ultimate whiny baby. He'll never say die. He'll never say quit. He will never just own up to the fact that he lost. So we can throw that out the window. He's raising money, but the money is going for his debts. Lying, saying that it's going to fight voter fraud. That's not true. And then I tell people all the time, of course the money is not going to fight voter fraud. There is no voter fraud. That was a solution in search of a problem. They know this, but it's better than the truth, which is that they boy just sucks and he lost, and America's just that into him. So instead of going in and receiving that truth in the name of all that is holy, they keep railing against it. You know, oh well, you have to admire the fighting spirit in some of these Republicans and GOP members. But it is what it is. The Trump campaign mistakes a Four Seasons landscaping company for the Four Seasons Hotel. If you didn't see that was a funny story, interesting story. I guess somebody on his team was supposed to book the exclusive Four Seasons Hotel. They screwed that up. Called the first Four Seasons they probably saw on the phone book. I tell you, I don't know what kind of operation they are running over there, the Trump campaign, but called the first Four Seasons they saw. It happened to be a landscaping company, so they go through with it, and they held the press conference right there at this landscaping company, which is between, you can't make this stuff up, which is between a a marriage enhancement store, use your imagination, and a crematorium. It's sandwiched in between those two things. So that's interesting, isn't it? So there it is, the Four Seasons Landscaping Company, and they did a little press conference there where Giuliani was saying that, you know, all the news outlets have said that Biden's the winner. All of them? You know, he's being sarcastic and over the top or whatever, but that whole thing was silly. You can't even take the GOP seriously these days. I mean, you really can't. It'd be funnier if it wasn't sad, the things that they do. But this stuff is really, I mean, it's like a comedy skit. It's so sad that I was actually reading, this is a side note. I didn't even got this in my notes, but it just came to my head. I got to talk about it. I was reading an article about Saturday Night Live and how they were having trouble kind of making 2020 funny, because they said so much stuff has happened in 2020 that wouldn't happen in a comedy skit, or if you saw it, you'd think this was a comedy skit, that it's hard to come up with material. I said, you know what, I believe it, because there's been stuff that going around here that's been so unprecedented and so off the rails and so beyond the pale that you'd be like, oh yeah, this got to be something out of Mad Magazine, or something out the Onion, or, you know, something out of SNL skit. No, this is real life that we're living, so it's crazy. So here's that. One of the men who was at this press conference, he was talking about how he was he was supposed to be a poll watcher in Pennsylvania. Come to find out, actually, this guy was from New Jersey, and he was a registered sex offender in New Jersey. I don't know what it is with the GOP, but whenever there's somebody involved with them, they end up being a sex offender or a rapist or super against LGBTQ rights, but then they come out as being gay or lesbian. It's amazing. So Here we go again with this madness. This guy, I don't even have his name. You can look all this stuff up. I mean, they've been talking about it ad nauseum in the news, so I just brush past it for you for real. But it's just another part of this farce, this clown show that is the GOP. So here we got a guy here. He's claiming to be a poll watcher in Pennsylvania. Come to find out he's a registered sex offender in New Jersey. As far as the GOP goes in their cases in court trying to win this election, they're 1 for 20. 1 for 20. They've won one case out of 20 cases that they've proposed to the federal government. That is just ridiculous. Come on, man. What are we doing here? This is a lot like Obamacare, isn't it? I think they tried 50 plus times to get rid of that. Maybe 55, 56 times they voted to get rid of that and couldn't get rid of it. But no, they're fine to waste taxpayer time and taxpayer money. In this case, Trump is fine to waste his supporters' money and his supporters' time while he takes these things to court, knowing none of this is going to stick. And they say what's happening in a lot of these cases is these lawyers, they get before a judge, they get right up in front of them, it comes time for them to present the case, they don't have any evidence, they have to present what they have, which is nothing. So then the judge tells them you got nothing, and they say, oh well, and they leave because they're getting paid good money to present a case. They knew the case was hollow. They knew they didn't have any legs when they presented it, but guess what? They getting a check, they got families to feed, they got kids to put through school. So they present this case, they waste everybody's time, they make their money though, and Trump can say that, oh, we've got these things in litigation. Sure you do. You got them in litigation. You got an idiot in a suit presenting a case that you know is a big nothing burger. Eat up. That's what I told a friend of mine. It's a big nothing burger. Eat up. Whatever. So that's what's going on with that. They need to stop chasing their own tail. The GOP, it's ridiculous. This one case is in Pennsylvania, and I guess it's because a voting deadline had been extended by 3 days, and they're trying to say that I think the Secretary of State there who handles the voting stuff, she overstepped her bounds by doing that. Wow. And they were saying even with that, Biden is like 60,000 votes in the lead in Pennsylvania. So even with this win, it means absolutely nothing to Trump and his administration as far as a win. And they know this. They know these numbers better than me. Come on now. I'm getting them 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10th hand. So they know. They're getting this stuff firsthand. They know this. But this is still a cash grab. They're on their way out the building. They want to tell their supporters, fund this, help this. Yeah, we're trying to fight voter fraud. They ain't fighting no voter fraud. They lacing their pockets with cash and they paying off some debts. And that's all this is about. So there's that. Moving on. This guy, what a clown. Dan Patrick from Texas. This dude offering $1 million for people who have evidence of voter fraud. Whenever you offer $1 million, know that you're not looking for anything to come of that. He already knows there'll be no evidence of voter fraud. There is no voter fraud. Anyway, moving on. But he's got $1 million if you can find some voter fraud or make some up that people would actually believe. Moving on. They talk about recounts all over the place. They said most times when a recount is done, they spend a lot of time, spend a lot of money or whatever doing a recount, and usually the results are the same. And they said if they do change, it might change by 100 or 200 votes, but nothing that would make a significant difference in this case, and nothing that would hand Trump the win. So what's the point? Anyway, Trump, they said fear of having to pay for crimes after he leaves office. Well, duh. We all know he done did a laundry list of madness while in office. And a lot of the stuff he did because he was protected. He was protected by William Barr. He was protected by the fact that he was a sitting president, and there was a memo written 8 million years ago somewhere. Somebody wrote saying that you couldn't prosecute a sitting president. Whatever. It's interesting that memo never came up when Barack Obama was president, but all of a sudden while Trump is president, then that memo comes up. For 2 reasons. One, Barack Obama, the black president, they ain't sharing that information with him. Number 2, Barack Obama didn't need it because he wasn't crooked like this guy. So it is what it is. So there's that. So of course he's scared. He already knows the moment he steps down, there are people chomping at the bit to hit him in the face with litigation behind his businesses, behind the stuff he did in office, out of office, his business dealings with Russia. What is it? The Deutsche Bank, the DEUTSCHE Bank, the Deutsche Bank. I think there's a bank in Russia. Said they're looking to cut ties with Mr. Trump after the election. Looking to cut ties. Of course. What they you them for? Right now, they want their bread. They like, bro, you done borrowed a whole lot of money from us. And then we still kept rolling with you because you became president with thinking he can pay the money back or do something that'll be worth all this money. You've done nothing. We need our bread. We don't want to be down with you no more. Or maybe they've gotten their bread or maybe they've gotten their favors and they're just cutting ties with Trump. Whatever it is, what it is, welcome to politics, Mr. Trump. Welcome to politics. Joe Scarborough, guy from Morning Joe, that's my dude, man. He was a Republican, a card-carrying Republican, but after all this Trump madness and all that, you know, over maybe the course of a year or two into that presidency, he stopped being a Republican. And then I talk to other Republicans now, and they're like, oh, that guy's a rhino. He's a rhino. Anyway, Joe Scarborough, he always calls Trump a day trader. So this guy don't know anything about politics. He's a day trader. And that's true. He don't get it. In politics, you're only as good as your last book. You're only as good as your last song. What have you done for me lately? Politics is like that. If you don't have anything, nobody's interested in you. And your juice is gone. You're no longer president. You're a lame duck now, refusing to leave the White House. Nobody is feeling you, man. Nobody is trying to get down with you anymore. So, of course, this Deutsche Bank says, nah, we don't want to have anything to do with Mr. Trump because he lost. If he had won, they wouldn't have said nothing because they'd be like, he's still president. He can still do some back scratching this way, but nah, he ain't president no more. That ship has sailed. So he's done now. So, oh well. Sucks to be him. He's going to have to find something else to do. And find a way to pay back all this money. I heard it's a whole lot of money that he owes them. And I'm sure they're trying to collect right by now. Right by now. So, it is what it is. The whole GOP has went crazy. GOP has lost their ever-loving mind. Pompeo, when asked about a Biden transition, he's going to say there will be a smooth transition to a second Trump administration. What? What? Sitting up there, they're going to ask Pompeo about a smooth Biden transition. He's going to say there'll be a smooth transition to a second Trump administration. And then he kind of smiled and smirked afterwards. Like that was cute or something. That's not cute, man. You perpetuating this madness is not cute. All of y'all placating to this man-child that we have in office. That is not cute. You know, at what point do Republicans say, you know what, let me go ahead and hold up democracy and stop kowtowing to a moron? When do y'all do that? When do y'all do that? I understand that he won an election in 2016, but he just lost one. Wake up. Wake up, you know, and smell the coffee. When do you do it, GOP? I mean, real talk, he don't even have nothing no more. His hustle hand is broke right now. Trump's hustle hand is broke. His hustle hand has always been raggedy, but now it's broke. So what are y'all doing? At least now have a backbone when the guy's got nothing for you. You know what you're afraid of? His base. And that's sad. But that is what it is because he was smart enough to make sure to get a whole bunch of people, you know, on his team. And they're afraid of those people. So, but we'll talk about a little bit more about that later on. Moving on. So Pompeo says that he's on board, you know, to placate this moron. Then Lindsey Graham says, check this out. This is a quote from Lindsey Graham. He said, if Republicans don't challenge and change the U.S. election system, there will never be a Republican president again. Think about that. He said if they don't challenge and change, if they don't challenge and change the election system, challenge and change the election system in this country. Okay, maybe. Well, challenge. You know what? Now that I think about it, on its face, that's not horrible. Do we need to change the election system in this country? Yeah. I'd like us to change it to getting rid of the Electoral College, making it truly one man, one woman, one vote. That would be great. That'd be a change. Challenge. Obviously, I'm challenging it because that's a part of the election process I'd like to change. So when you look at that on his face, it doesn't sound like a bad thing. But when he says it, and me knowing the type of guy he is, I don't like this phrase at all. Because why would he say that? Republicans need to challenge and change the election system. Really? Check that out. Change the election system. How y'all want to change it? Get rid of mail-in ballots when I've heard that helps Republicans, but now y'all feel it doesn't, so y'all want to get rid of it? Get rid of early voting? What? You know what I'm saying? Come up with some more laws to stop more minorities and young people from casting a ballot. I know your deal, Mr. Graham. I know what you're about. I know what you're doing, and I know what that's about. So I don't like that. I don't like that coming from that guy. That right there coming from that guy is bad news coming from the party that's always trying to stop people from voting, never trying to expand the vote. They always want to stop the vote. So be wary of that. I don't like that. Moving on, a PBS journalist asked Joe Biden, how will you work with Republicans who don't even recognize you as president? And I love it because if you haven't seen it, you might want to pump it up there on YouTube. Something the lady asked him that. She said, how are you going to work with these Republicans who don't even recognize you as president? He just smiled at Joe Biden, smiled, and he said, they will. They will. That guy's a president. I love it. So presidential. If that was Trump, you already know it would have went off. Oh, all these guys are losers. And they'll bend over. They'll bend over like I've been saying they're going to bend over because they're losers. They're all losers. They're losers. Biden ain't even go there. He ain't even go there. He is like, they will. They'll come around. They will. That guy was presidential. He was dignified. He handled that with all the poise and grace. 46, baby. So there it is. You know what I'm saying? That guy, he been primetime ready. Come on, man. He been doing this political thing for 30, 40 plus years. So we already know Joe Biden know how to handle himself, but he handled that question perfectly. And that was something, but it spoke a lot to who Joe Biden is. I've always said now, I went on record when this whole thing began saying, I knew Joe Biden would get the nomination because he was an elderly, male, white, moderate. And that is what the DNC wants. Really just a moderate, because you see Barack Obama got it last time, so male moderate. So there's that. But I like Joe Biden, always have. I like Joe Biden because he's a heck of a speaker. He used to be a lot better. He's gotten older, and you can tell from his age, or you could tell really through the years, you could tell his age. If you listen to a speech today and then listen to a speech like, back in 2000, I think, was it maybe 2008 or something like that, when he was running against Barack Obama in those primaries, if you listen to speeches back then and you listen to speeches now, you can tell the difference. That man is 77 years old. So come on. Obviously, there's a difference. His steps going to be a little slower. His speech is going to be a little slower. But, all the way around, he's a really good guy. I will tell you, though, right now, he's just what we need, believe it or not. Because I was thinking about this lately, because when the lady asked him that, she said, how are you going to, be a president to Republicans who may not even recognize you as president, feel like the Democrats stole the election. This guy, though, he's uniquely qualified for what's going on right now. He is stepping into an extremely divided house, but he can handle that. Joe Biden has been around forever. He's been in the Senate 30 plus years, maybe 40 years. He has been around for a long, long time. He knows these people. He knows them. He knows Mitch McConnell. When he sees Mitch McConnell say, hey, what up, Mitch? How the wife doing? How the kids doing? Such and such still going to school and such and such. Did you and your wife get the summer home and such and such? Because, me and the wife got the summer home and saying we love it. Da, 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 da. You should come over sometime with it. He's got that. And he has that with everybody in Congress. That dude's been there forever. At one point, he was vice president. So he knows everybody. Everybody there. He's been in a room with. He's been in meetings with. He's pushed legislation with. He's had trivial conversations with. He's done interviews with. He knows everybody there. Like I said, he has a unique skill set for what he's about to step into. He might be one of the few senators who can deal with it, just because he's been there so long and he knows everybody on both sides of the aisle, knows them well, knows their families, knows their kids, has met their wives, has met their husbands, has been to their homes, has eaten dinner with them, all of that. And Joe Biden is one of the few people who's got that with everybody. So that's interesting, and that's a great thing. Like I said, we need that right now. He might be the one man who could actually bring this house together. We're going to see what 2021 holds. Moving on, there's a chick. So I not disrespect the lady because I don't like her at all. Emily Murphy, she's on the Trump transition team. She refuses to sign the paperwork, refuses to acknowledge that Joe Biden as our new president won't sign the paperwork. It's people like her, you know what I'm saying, playing these games, but I still blame Trump. He the one who got people on that, you know what I'm saying, thinking that that this election was rigged. And for him, whether he wins or loses, the election's always rigged, ain't it? So I guess maybe more to blame lies with these idiots who follow the moron king. But whatever. I'm sick of all of them and sick of this. Okay? The man lost. Get up on that. Okay? You know what I'm saying? Extra, read all about it. That's the hot take. Biden is a W, the Trump is an L. There it is. So they need to get hip to that. This chick, Emily Murphy, she need to get hip to that. People report that Trump is not even working. That's what some of the staffers said, that he ain't even working, been phoned it in. Well, he been told us that he was done with COVID. Said he was bored with that, wasn't trying to fight that no more. We're done with that. We're moving on. I don't want to hear about it anymore. And believe me, you won't hear about it anymore after November 4th. We're still hearing about it, Mr. President, because people still dying from it. I'll talk about that in a minute. But anyway, so there's that. It's a shame. And then they said that all he's doing now is just watching a lot of TV. More TV than he was watching before. Jesus, is that even possible? It is, I guess. So now this guy's watching what? Fox News and ONN and somebody. Oh, man, there's a whole bunch of those. And I watch them, because I do this show and I like to get takes from all over the place. I'm watching conservative outlets. I'm watching liberal outlets. I'm watching far right, far left, in the middle, in between, all of that. And, whoa. He's watching this stuff all day, and already, if you watch Fox News all day, that will rot your brain. I told a friend of mine who is conservative, I say, look, man, if I watch Fox News long enough, I'll start to hate minorities, and I am one. Anyway, moving on. So that's what your president's up to, playing golf and watching more TV than he usually watches. Lord help us all. So, that is what it is. Staffers up there getting fired, looking for other jobs. I guess somebody was clapping because somebody had left. They probably were happy to see this person go, being sarcastic, being snarky. They got fired on the spot for clapping. What? So they said it's off the hook at the White House. Just everybody's walking on eggshells. Trump is on one because he knows he can smell it in the air. He can hear the people celebrating outside, dancing on his grave, and the body ain't even cold yet. So it's hell to work up in one of the best jobs on the planet. It's hell to have to go to the White House every day, I can imagine, because, and people getting sick still. Don't think that done went away. People are still getting sick in the White House. Different staffers have to get these tests every day or whatever, and then some of them get in and find out, I got COVID. Hopefully it doesn't kill me. I got to go through that. So it's madness going on over there. Think about this. Trump lost the popular vote by about 4 to almost 5 million this time, they said. Now, the first time when he went against Hillary Clinton, he lost it by 3.5 million, the popular vote. Now, with all that said, though, 56% of white women voted for Trump. Let me say that again. 56% of white women voted for Trump. That blows me away. Then it starts to make me think, so were they listening to that suburb crap? My parents have lived in the suburbs a long, long time, probably most of my life. Even when I was younger, we lived in one suburb, and then we just moved to another suburb. So we've lived in the suburb as long as I've been alive. And I don't know what he's talking about. The suburbs this, the suburbs that. We got people coming in. Yeah, they've been doing subsidized housing by where my parents lived for years. It ain't hurting nothing. Ain't nobody living in fear. Ain't been no more break-ins than there used to be before that subsidized housing came. So what is he talking about? But then I'm like, I guess 56% of these white women were listening to him when he said, I made the suburbs better for you. I got rid of that, I don't know if he called it subsidized housing. He probably called it something else. But point being is, that's disturbing to me. And I guess, though, when I talk to people, they say, well, a lot of these women are just voting along with their husbands. I've seen that. I've known plenty of women who had a husband who was conservative. They were pretty liberal or pretty independent. They got a husband who's conservative. He votes for the conservative candidate. He votes for the Republican candidate. They just tote the line. You know what I'm saying? And vote for the Republican candidate. Probably to keep peace in the home. And that's what our ladies do. That's what our women do. They're more interested in keeping a home together than fighting over political parties. I feel them on that. You know what that's called, being an adult. So I ain't mad at that, but I just that really bothered me. 56% of white women voted for Trump. I just can't believe that's true. But that is a true statistic that I got. So that's something to think about. With all this progress, with all this Trump, losing the popular vote, he still won over white women. But like I said, I wonder if he actually won them over, because he said a whole lot of sexist and misogynist and grab them by the hello and all that other stuff. So I'm thinking a lot of this is just women who are voting along with their husbands. That is what it is. Good news is Michael Cohen Trump's ex-fixer, dude who he left to rot in jail, said that Trump will probably just stay in Mar-a-Lago. I guess he goes down there every Christmas to hang out and kick it, and they said he'll chill in, and he said he'll probably go down to Mar-a-Lago, he'll chill there for the 25th for Christmas, and then he usually comes back to D.C. around the 5th or the 6th or something like that. He said he'll probably just stay down there and just skip the inauguration on January 20th of Joe Biden. Guy on Fox News was asking Kelly McEnany, would it be sour grapes or look real bad if the sitting president didn't come to the inauguration of the new president? She said, oh well, yes, President Trump will be at his own inauguration come January 20th. No, she wasn't laughing. She should have been, because that was very laughable in a joke. No, that inauguration will be for Mr. Joseph Biden, and if Trump want to be a party pooper and sit it out because he's salty and got them sour grapes, well, then sit at home and eat your sour grapes then, Donald. Ain't nobody tripping. They gonna party without you. So don't nobody want your funky self there anyway. But it's sad that this guy can't just be an adult, suck it up and say, look, I lost. This guy was the better man this particular day for this particular battle, this particular fight, whatever. Guess what? You won, I lost. Congrats. But he can't do that. So he can just stay in Mar-a-Lago. Guess what? That's probably the best thing for everybody if he just goes away. And next time we hear from him, it'll probably be on one of them lame outlets, ONN or Fox News or some other outlet that he done started, and some other crap that he got going on. Probably another Apprentice. Anyway, moving on to not happier things, sadder things, and I gotta go right now because I see the time trying to run out on me. COVID, it's still bad. It's all bad. People still dying from it. Africa is #1 place in the world for stopping the virus right now. People were surprised at that. I don't know why people were surprised at that. Some people in Africa took offense to that. Like, why y'all so surprised at it? First of all, Africa did a good job. Why? Because they have the practice. That's unfortunate, but that's real talk. With Ebola and stuff like that, they already know. They don't play no games. These viruses come around, they get on it. Whatever the scientists and doctors say they need to do, they do it, and boom, knock these things out. So that's why I said, so now we're officially the ish-hole country that Trump talked about, called them an ish-hole country. That had to be us, because we're #1 in the nation for corona deaths, to while they're #1 for having gotten rid of it. And Africa is a really big place. So, yeah, something to think about. Anyway, moving on. 50% of the people in Africa are in their teens. That's another reason that they've done good with the virus. They say they got a whole lot of young people in Africa. Think about that. 50% of the people in Africa, huge continent, whole bunch of people, 50% of them are teenagers. And then in Africa, people walk more. They eat better. So yeah, they said most African leaders took it seriously when it came around. They got on it. They consulted the scientists, consulted doctors, did what needed to be done. They got PPE, they got ventilators, they did all this stuff. Now, there's always going to be somebody who got to walk outside the norm and be the moron. And unfortunately for us, it's our president. But there are some places in Africa where their elected leaders, or however this leader became in power, I'd have to talk about another show about that. But in Tanzania, they were criticized for kind of taking the Trump approach. This guy's been downplaying the seriousness of the virus, said that Tanzania had been healed through prayer. Okay, prayer is good, but we also need a vaccine and some medication with that prayer. So, yeah, he talking about they've been healed through prayer. Says testing labs were inflating the COVID numbers. And then this guy was sending fruit to labs because he wanted to get the fruit tested for COVID, saying if the fruit come back and the fruit ain't got COVID, that lets you know they've been inflating COVID numbers and stupid stuff that our president would do, wasting time, wasting money, wasting lab time and money because you want to test fruit when you could be testing people, which would actually help. Anyway, moving on. I guess you're always going to have some people like this who just want to go against the grain and do their own stupid little thing, but it's sad when they're the leaders and people's lives are at risk when they do this type of stuff. So, but that right there shows you what's going on. Most of Africa had some sense about this thing, listened to the doctors, listened to the scientists, got the PPE, did the things they needed to do, and they're looking real good right now. The few places that didn't are looking like us right now. So that right there, that draws the parallel and lets you know that if people adhere to the things they tell you to adhere to, you can get this thing under control. So that also gives me hope, because when we get Biden in there, hopefully he'll put out some of these mandates. Hopefully, since it's coming from the top, come from the president, there'll be some people to get with it. There'll probably still be some people who won't, but hopefully more people will, and that'll help us flatten this curve. This past Thursday, DeWine right here in Columbus, Ohio, and I'm gonna bring it all locally. He was saying all 88 counties are at high incidence, which is bad. High incidence is bad. That's real high up there, and that's saying that you look good in one of these counties and accidentally getting it because a whole lot of people got it. As far as coronavirus is concerned, as of Thursday, 68 of Ohio's 88 counties have reached a level 3 red risk level, and that's horrible. That's not good. Level 3 red risk. Come on now. I ain't got to paint a picture. You already know what's good with that. A lot of deaths, a lot of people sick, a lot of people dying. Two of the counties, Franklin County, hello, that's us, Columbus, Ohio, Franklin County, and Tuscarawas County are due to reach a level 4 purple, the highest level on the advisory, as soon as next week. So people, please, my God, wear a mask, social distance, take all this stuff seriously, because it's really gotten out of control around here. And right here where I'm at right now talking to you, Franklin County, Columbus, OH, it has really gotten out of control. And I hope people out there are being safe, protecting themselves, protecting their family, all of that good stuff. All right, let me go ahead and wrap it up right here. I wanted to talk about reasons why I think, or a reason why I think Biden will be a better president. Just sympathy and empathy and making people care more about one another. People not being so brazen with the racism. Okay, it's still gonna be there. We're not getting rid of it. What it is I think I was looking at Facebook and I was reading the story, and this guy was a brother. He was talking about hanging in a bar. Some people come in the bar. Some of the people he knew, some he didn't. And he said someone scratches out the new on his box of new, because he was a smoker. So he's smoking some Newports, and someone scratches out the new on his box of Newports, and they put nigger, Nigger. You know, like nigger ports, which I see the connotation. Yeah, what it is it's a bad racial trope, but they always talk about how black people love Newport cigarettes. And, you know, I ain't gonna lie, Newport do bump in the hood, but that's still not cute. And his thing was, he said the fact that somebody there felt comfortable enough to do that. But then he talked about that night. He said he was kind of drunk, kind of messed up, drinking a lot of alcohol. And he said he needed a ride home, so he didn't say anything about it because he felt like he probably would have been kicked out the bar. And so he didn't even make a big deal about it. He said, so he just smoked the cigarettes, but he always held on to that pack to never forget. And I told it in the comments, I left a comment, I say, look, I know how this guy felt, and I've been there. Not necessarily with a pack of cigarettes because I don't smoke squares, but I know what that's like. Every black person knows what that like. Something racist happens to you and you feel like, oh, let me say something, but now ain't the time. And if I do say something, it's going to start some stuff. And I really don't have the time for it, or I'm tired. Or I wasn't even looking to deal with that today. I got to go home. It's after work. Or I was just trying to get a bite to eat. Whatever. These different things happen. And I mean, they really just hold up your life. That's why even on this show, I've talked about how a lot of black people are uncomfortable with being black, or find it just a huge inconvenience sometimes. Because think about that. Here you are just trying to live your life, and now the color of your skin has become an issue for somebody, and now they've made it an issue for you, and you got to deal with it. And then you leave the situation feeling like less of a person if you didn't deal with it. There have been situations, I had racial situations where I felt like, dang, should I knock that guy's teeth down his throat? But to do that probably would have had me in jail. Of course, probably would have had me in jail. And what, I'm a grown man, what I look like out here fighting? But I have a lot of friends who, you know, when I tell them the situation, that have been their recourse to. So, you know, number one, I guess, as black men, we got to find better ways to deal with that type of stuff. Number two, it just is what it is. It's a shame. But am I blaming all of this on Trump? Well, I blame a lot of it on Trump. Because before this, you wouldn't have seen so much brazenness. I mean, could this have still happened to him had there never been a Trump presidency? Probably. Has this happened to somebody way before there was a Trump? I'm sure. You know there has. But my point is, and like he